Let the energy build. Something not so casual Thursday, September 23rd, 2021. Jay Money's Money, Shark and Sports. Jay, let's talk to him.
What's up, my guy? What's up, everybody? Welcome to another show, man. Y'all know what we're doing. It's Football Talk with Jay and the Shark, man. We got some NFL. It's Thursday night football. It's time to trying to get some cash, man. You know what we're doing. Hey, the Panthers -8 got a total of 43 and a half. Shark, what's up, my guy? What you looking at tonight's game, man? Well, y'all know we get right to it, man. No BS over here.
I am in the process of sharing the broadcast, so our esteemed, amazing followers can watch this live. I went live on Sunday, and nobody could see it. So the best thing about it, Jay, you and I can sit in the library and talk, but we want people to see the damn product.
Right.
So just give me 30 seconds, and then we will dive straight into it. Okay, so anyway, tonight's game, obviously, Thursday Night Football, short week, out-of-division special. Of course, historically, Thursday Night Football games are usually grease-fire divisional games. So now they're taking it to grease-fire out-of-division games. Got to give a shout to Roger Goodell on that. We're really making huge advancements here in the product. That being said, you catch Carolina here in the ultimate sandwich spot. We were just talking about this off the record. They are 2-0 ATS. They did cover against the Jets, and then they played what would have been probably their best game in the last 12 against the Saints at home in a divisional game. It was a revenge game. They had lost to the Saints 33-7 in the final week of last season, so it was ripe in their mind. They really played an efficient game. They were up from the get. It was 17-0 at the half. The Saints were lifeless in that game. But now you go on the road in a short week, and you catch what's really just a scrappy opponent who's also 2-0 ATS, and you really ask yourself a question, who's more to let down? If both teams are 2-0 ATS, which team's not going to cover? In my opinion, it's the team that is 2-0 straight up and plays the Cowboys next week and the Eagles thereafter. So you're coming in here off of a huge win, and then you have the Cowboys next week, short week against a very uninspiring opponent who is projected to be the worst team in the league with Davis Mills at quarterback, a second-year or third-year product out of Stanford. And also, when you look at the environments of this, the cover for Houston, although they are 2-0 ATS, was a double-digit loss. So their motivation at home should be a little higher, in my opinion, to bounce back off of a major loss than it would be theoretically for Carolina to keep just blowing teams out here. And I'm playing a half unit, not going too nuts on this. And this is also sanctioned by the great Fusini. We are playing Houston +8. Jay?
Yeah, I like it, man. I like it. Yeah, I was finna say, so the Texans did win. I was finna say you get the classic. You had a 2-0 team. We're still 1-1. So if the Texans obviously want to save their season, you're going to get a strong output from here. I must say, guys, I don't have a bet on the side here. It's a really sharp call by my guy Shark. We're talking about this game. Obviously, could be possible look-ahead spot for the Panthers. They come off a very huge divisional win over at home versus the Saints. I must say, usually with the Thursday game, short week of preparation, and you have to add in a day of travel, does usually favor the home team. I'm not making a bet on it. I do know for a fact that everybody's betting the Panthers here, like they already know the score. They already know the final score. I usually hate to be on the side that everybody's on. I must say, guys, I do like the under here. It's nothing heavy for me. I'm not an expert or anything, but I do like the under 43 in tonight's game. I think with Mills out there, they'll do a conservative game plan, get to run the ball more, try to lean in their defense. You look at the Panthers, look at the numbers from them. They lead in almost every top defensive category, have one of the top defenses so far in the NFL this year. We know it's a small sample size, but the Panthers have actually been pretty strong on defense. Backup quarterback, Texans offense not wowing anybody. So like I say, I like the under in this spot. I know the primetime games have really been going over. This is my last time trying to go, you know what I'm saying, a little contrarian with the under here, but I do believe that this one will fall below 40 points, my guys. So I'm taking the under 43, like you say, half unit for me here. It's really like officially unofficial type shit, but I like the under here, and I couldn't talk anybody off Texans, my guy. We know that Panthers gonna be a lot of parlays, teasers, everything, my guy. So what, you think Texans got a shot to win, or just cover?
I think cover. I don't see necessarily a win, but ultimately, true, they could win. I mean, I do think this is the ultimate trap. We were just saying, if you looked in the NFL dictionary and it said trap game, page 12. This is your ultimate trap game. Again, dub 2-0 ATS, both at home, huge divisional road revenge win last week. And next week you play at the Cowboys. Cowboys, of course, are not, Super Bowl class, but Hard Knocks, Dak, Zeke, big time guys. CeeDee Lamb. It's going to be a 1 o'clock special in Jerry World. This is such a short week trap spot. It's brutal for Carolina here. And one more point on this. I went back to last year. Excuse me. Of course, Teddy Bridgewater was the quarterback, not Sam Darnold. They were very good on the road ATS. But the key point was they were getting points in almost every single road game. And we talk about this in the NBA all the time. When teams are covering as a dog and then all of a sudden books adjust and flip them to a large favorite, oftentimes their ATS efficiency goes the polar opposite direction. The average becomes sharper. They were exploiting what really was actually an exploitable low average. And then when Vegas moves the line to a correct average, the team starts not covering. And I think you're going to see that here. I think Houston's a really sharp look.
Exactly. Got you. My guy rolling with the Texans plus the 8 here. I'm rolling with the under 43. I also think a very sharp look. And obviously there's there's some money coming in on the under as well. I don't necessarily think it's just hugely public, especially with the primetime game soaring over. But I do, there is money coming in on the under here. And like I said, I like it for a bunch of reasons here, my guys. So give me under 43 for me, like I said, officially, unofficial, my guys. Now I want to go down with some looks. I do have 5 or 6 looks that I want to go and run down here with my guy Shark. Obviously, he's the professional here with the football, so I've been looking at some stuff past couple days. First, like for this weekend Sunday, guys, one I really like here probably be one of the top looks. Saints plus the 3. They're going on the road, a third straight road game. The first game was supposed to be a home game. Obviously, they're going over a bunch of stuff going to New Orleans. They played in Jacksonville last week. Got smacked up in Carolina. This week they're going to holler at Bill Belichick, Mac Jones with the Patriots. Shark, could you talk me off Saints plus the 3 here?
There's one counterpoint, and it's just the fact that the Saints have been on the road now for what will be 3 weeks. Of course, they were supposed to have a home game in week 1, but due to a hurricane, they had to play in Jacksonville. And of course, they played fantastic football, blew out the Packers. But now you've been at Jacksonville, at Carolina, you're moving up the coast, now you're in New England. I think it could be a tough travel, but I wouldn't disagree with you on the other points.
Got you. Like I say, man, I think it's a huge bounce back spot for him. I'm not really sold on Mac Jones yet. I don't think Belichick is yet either, even though they got rid of Cam Newton. You see him throwing a lot of short throws, averaging only 3 yards per play per pass. You see what I'm saying? So I don't think that he's going to be passing down the field. I do think it'll be a more defensive type of game, but it's time for the Saints to show up here, man. I think that they want to. You opposed to going 1-2, you want to go 2-1 here, man. Obviously the Patriots going to look good versus the Jets, but head back to the house. Like I said, I just think it's a huge bounce back spot for the Saints. I'm not an expert. It could be a toss-up, but it always goes back to as well that home team landing 3. You'll likely see this one close at 2.5, which would be hugely indicative as well for the Saints coming in here playing a really good game, my guys. Next game up, man, I say small lane. The Steelers bounce back. They had like 4 of their top defensive players out last week, my guys. So hopefully they get a couple of those. When I saw Joe Hayden out, I knew that it was likely not going to be a good game plan. But the Raiders been playing well. But what do you think about this one? We got a huge rivalry here, Steelers versus the Bengals, my guy. What you think about this one?
This is a tough one for me. Obviously, the Steelers off a really lackluster performance against Vegas. Something I said last week, and I will continue to say, when the Steelers went 11-0 straight up last year, they got fortunate in a lot of small window environments to win 11 straight football games. And I don't think it was really reflective of a 30 to 40 game sample. So we always talk about this when a team's really hot and then they get a little cold and people think, oh, they're going to bounce back to being hot. It's like, actually, no, being cold is getting back to their average. And the Steelers, I don't think necessarily are supposed to get really hot again. Big Ben, obviously an older guy, a lot of roster turnover. This is not the Steelers of, 4 or 5 years ago. Good defense, obviously, and I love Najee Harris in there. I will have no official on this. I'm just giving counterpoints to either side. I don't love fading the Bengals in the division on the road, which I had incorrectly last week. I had Cincinnati to beat Chicago, and of course it lost. But I do look at that game, something I may have missed, obviously, in early season here. That was a trap game for them. They had to look ahead to Pittsburgh this week, and they played horribly. I mean, they were down 20-3 in the fourth quarter and tried to backdoor. I think you're going to get a better effort from Cincy this week, and really the core point for me here is I don't know if we really know how good Pittsburgh is right now.
Exactly. Definitely want to check those injuries as well. I know TJ Watt went out in that game. Hayden already didn't play another one of their defensive backs as well, my guy. So it's just something I want to ask you about. Obviously, stock numbers, Steelers at the house -3, pretty much just telling you it's an even kill game. Me personally, I'm not as much as a fan of the Bengals on the road as they are at the house. At the house, they kind of play a lot more comfortable. On the road, you kind of see Joe Burrow, you know what I'm saying, looking a little different through 3 picks last week. So be interested to see what happens. Next game up, we got the Jets +10.5 versus the Broncos. Broncos, obviously, public darling. They've been covering for them. Obviously, everybody had them last week versus Jacksonville, which you're supposed to. Now you got them. You got 2-0 versus 0-2. You got the Broncos coming to the house off 2 straight road games. I do know, especially in the NFL, it's not necessarily a good spot. So what do you think about this one, my guy? You think Jets +10.5 have a chance to cover it?
I mean, this is not something I'm trying to involve myself with, but every sharp mind I talk to is leaning towards the Jets. So in this camp of guys who I talk to regularly, of course, J Money is included in this. There's 10 to 15 guys. Almost nobody's looking at Denver here. And again, you look at an environmental shift. The Denver Broncos are 2-0 ATS on the season. Both road games and both against very below average opponents. We always talk about this. You have to look. You can't just look at the results. You have to look at the reasoning behind the results. An opener against the Giants, 27-13, and then a cover at Jacksonville. You come home. The Jets are also lackluster, but again, here's the difference. You're home off 2 wins. First game of the season at home. Jets come in here off a pathetic performance against the Patriots, Zach Wilson, et cetera, et cetera. And again, you ask yourself, adjusted average for Denver at 10.5. This is over a touchdown and a field goal, mind you. If this was 9.5, it'd be a totally different story. That 1 point makes a big difference. 10.5, I mean, this game could easily finish 27-17 and you still cover, right? Like Denver could be in complete control of this game and the Jets still cover the game. That's just NFL football in a nutshell for you. And, when you look at it, it's just a tough spot for Denver here, laying that many points.
Yep, the past couple of times they went there. So they actually won in 2018. The Jets won in Denver 34-16, my guys. So it's just crazy. Last year they played them 2020, they played them 37-28. Denver was actually an underdog in that game, +1. We know they had a lot of quarterback issues, but I think the Jets gonna play a representative game here. I don't think obviously Zach Wilson going up against Bill Belichick gonna have a good game plan, gonna make him look like he still should be in college. But crazy to say, I think they'll bounce back here. And like I said, I think the Broncos land a little bit too many points here. 10.5, maybe should have been more 7.5. You're going to pay a premium on them. They 2-0 ATS already, and you're going to get plenty of public money. People just love to fade the Jets. They're still an NFL team. There are some spots that may favor them, and this time they're getting 10.5. I actually like the Jets now. Let's go to it, man. Rams versus Bucks, my guy. What happened? You got an ad pop up?
Yep, always. I swear to God, ridiculous.
Hey, they back there cutting the grass, so it happens. But Rams +1.5 versus the Bucks. I know that the Bucks. I know this is a revenge game, Shark. They are on the road. I don't think Tom Brady's ever. Obviously, they hadn't had an LA team in forever, whatever. But I don't think he's ever played in Los Angeles. Regardless of that, they are traveling cross country. I know it's a revenge game, but are the Bucks the same Bucks team from last year? They had a close game with the Falcons there to the third quarter, and then obviously they blew it open. The Falcons got away from the game plan, started turning the ball over. What do you think here? You think it's the Rams or Bucks, my guy? What you liking?
Yeah, I just want to give a comment to the chat. We love you guys so much, but guys saying Jets stick to NBA, whatever. We're not taking the Jets. We are not taking the Jets. We're giving you a snapshot to market evaluations and guys we talk to. I am not saying take the Jets. I'm saying be aware Denver is probably a very Joe obvious side, and that doesn't cash long-term in sports betting. Anyway, continuing, Rams hosting the Bucks. The Bucks are hard to figure out here. I went through the schedule. Last year, they were very good on the road. However, they played all the bad teams on the road. I believe they didn't play outside of the division last year, one playoff team. So the only tough spots on the road last year for the Bucks were at the Saints where they got blown out, and divisional games at Atlanta and Carolina. If you could say those are tough, not really, but just situationally within the division. Outside of the division, they played all the bottom feeders, and they blew out the Lions. They blew out a couple other teams. They actually played down to Chicago and New York Giants on the road. Again, those were very situational early season. Remember, the Bucks didn't really hit their form last year until late November. Typical Tom Brady, where they just kind of, hang out and figure it out back in September, whatever. This game is very tough for me to predict. Obviously, the Rams come in here 2-0 on the campaign. Obviously, a cover in week 1 as a favorite against the Bears. That is not the same environment whatsoever as a dog at home to the Super Bowl champs. The one counterpoint to taking the Rams that I really do not like is the fact that Rams did win in Tampa Bay last year. They won 27-24 outright, and I think that revenge factor will be a tough fade of the Bucs. Nothing official for me here. As you can see, there's counterpoints either side.
Exactly. Yeah, it's gonna be a huge game. I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, okay, Tom Brady got a date with his old team next week. He actually heads to Foxborough to play the Patriots. Not necessarily say, I don't really think Tom Brady has look aheads, but if there was a spot where he might be looking ahead to another spot, I know it's a revenge game versus the Rams, and they want to come in and show some as well. Obviously, with the Rams looking so good so far to start the season, I'm sure they want to come in there and beat them. Regardless, I'd be looking at the Rams there, and I know it's a high total of 55. I actually look for it to be a defensive game here. Both teams have really good defense. I know Pierre-Paul may be out for the Bucs, which that really does probably hurt them, but I still think this will be like a Super Bowl type of game where every position, every play matters. You know what I'm saying? Defense is high intensity. But I do think, me personally, I think the Rams will pull that one out. And if they don't, obviously, sometimes teams need a loss early in the season to really push them, really wake them up. But I think that loss is going to be for the Bucs. I think the Rams are the real deal, and they see light at the end of the tunnel, my guys. Next one up that I want to ask you about, let's go do the Dolphins. We're talking about games that nobody really want to bet or will be heavy on one side, and we're just trying to look at every points. We got the Dolphins. 4-point dogs in Vegas. You got the Raiders here, been balling so far to start the season. Now they come back to the house, land 4 points. Now we got the backup with Brissett, but he's not necessarily just any backup. He's had starting time, whatever, in the NFL. What do you think about this one? Dolphins coming off that 35-0 loss versus the Bills, which I did call correctly, I must say.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. Obviously, last time they played last year, late in the season, I believe it was a primetime game on a Saturday night. It was a crazy fourth quarter. The game was a terrible game. It was a super low-scoring game. And then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, after like the 6-minute mark, they just started scoring back and forth. And actually a backdoor to an over. It was 26-25 final. The line was like 48, and they scored like 28 points in the last 5 minutes of the game. It was an outrageous backdoor on the over. That being said, for me, this is a tough one. We don't know who Vegas is. Like I was just saying with Pittsburgh, some teams I just don't have a feel for. Are they this good or are they that bad? Like, for example, last year, Vegas really kind of underachieved in a lot of spots. If you look at Vegas last year, they lost a lot of tight games, one-possession games, and they had far more upside than I think their record would suggest. John Gruden is very enigmatic to evaluate as a coach. Obviously, he won a title in 2002 or something. It's been a long time. But, is he too old? You look at guys like Herm Edwards at Arizona State, like recycling guys like generationally. Can they reboot it? I think he's done a pretty good job. Of course, he's been crucified for his draft picks. I mean, he drafted a couple guys out of Clemson, D linemen, that were supposed to be like 30 to 40. They drafted the top 10, all sorts of stuff. But I think he's actually showing that he's still in the game, if I'm being honest. I think Gruden has showed us enough that he's still competitive. That being said, Miami off an absolute blowout loss at home in the division. That was a J-Money special. We love to see it. I think this is a bounce-back spot for Miami inevitably. I like how they traveled to New England in week 1. New England for them is more hostile than it would be to travel to Vegas. I think Vegas, if anything, is a good travel point for Mike Flores and the boys. And I think ultimately they're going to show out. I would lean Dolphins, but nothing official.
Exactly. I lean Dolphins as well. It may not be a huge drop off from Tua to Brissett, in my opinion. I don't know. I like Tua, you see what I'm saying, but I still think he has a little way to go. I mean, I'm even watching him in the preseason. He's throwing into like triple coverage and stuff. So it's like it may not be too much of a drop off. Obviously, Brissett isn't that mobile as Tua is, but as far as just throwing ability from the pocket, I actually think it's not too bad of a drop off, and it's one of those injured player theories where everybody's going to hop on the Raiders. Simply put, the quarterback's out. I actually think there's some value on the Dolphins there plus the 4. Obviously, they could lose in a 3-point game and still cover. It's actually winnable game. Should come in pretty pissed off, in my opinion. Raiders maybe a tad bit too high on themselves, my guys. Just one last one that I wanted to ask you about: the Packers plus 3.5 Sunday Night Football. Not necessarily saying the Packers are back, but you do have the 49ers 49ers. And you know what? I really kind of like this because the 49ers, they hadn't been at the house, right? So I always kind of talk, just not been at the house for a while. You come back, you're getting back used to that environment. Hey, you got to say what's up to your lady. It's a bunch of stuff for you to do, a lot of distractions. You see what I'm saying? Regardless, they've been out on the road 2 straight games here, Shark. Now they come back to the house, laying 3.5. What do you think about this one? Are you impressed by the 49ers by their first couple of games? And what do you think about the Packers possibly covering this one?
This is a tough one. I am impressed from the standpoint last year, San Francisco completely underachieved and had a lot of injuries and was really just disastrous. I mean, obviously going to the Super Bowl 2 years ago, you had a lead in the fourth quarter down in Miami. Patrick Mahomes backdoored them. They could have won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. I mean, this is a damn good team. And then last year, they were really just – it was all over the place. I mean, they were one of the teams that really – I wasn't necessarily all COVID, but it was just weird injuries and just like total inconsistency across the board. I think this is a bounce back campaign for them, and I think their quality is being showcased. They were blowing out Detroit before getting backdoored. The backdoor cover is not, it was a nasty backdoor. But, it's not really representative of their quality. Like, obviously, if they want to show out, they could beat that team by 40 points. And they took their foot off the gas, whatever. Week 2, I think Philadelphia is better than people think. That's another game to discuss on Monday Night Football this week. But I think Philadelphia is better than people think. And I think the fact they covered their 17-11, I think it's a showcase of their defense. They have a great defense. They had big-time injuries last year. Bosa was out. Bosa is a fucking dog. He's back. They're ready to go. I think this is a tough take either way because obviously Rodgers off week 1 road. He's not going to replicate that 38-3 in Florida against New Orleans and Jacksonville. It's not going to happen again. This is going to be a tough game. I mean, this is one of those games I stay away from. I think 3.5 is a real close, sharply graded line.
Got you. One more I want to ask you about, unless you want to talk about a game, and then I want to talk about the college football game tonight. It's just I was leaning the dog, but regardless, real quick, I know we didn't talk about that before the show, but if you would like to, but what you think about this Chargers versus Kansas City? Obviously, the Chargers have kind of played them tough in years past, whatever. Now you got the Chiefs coming off a loss here, and it's under a touchdown, 6.5. What do you think, bro? Chiefs 6.5, or would you be taking points with the Chargers, my guy?
Oh, this is a tough one. Isn't
every NFL game?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's always a great counterpoint. Always. I would lean Chargers. I know Fusini has gone on the record with the Chiefs. He's my man. I love him to death, but I do disagree a little bit. I think ultimately this is a good spot for the Chargers. KC does not play well at home in the division. They do not play well at ATS against anybody at home, and they don't play well in the division. They lost the Raiders last year outright. They lost to the Chargers actually outright. That didn't matter though. Chad Henne was playing quarterback in week 17. But I think the narrative point that they're just going to bounce back off a loss is a little bit for failed years here. I mean, this is an elongated season, and I've said this before. This is why I faded them in week 1. And the Ravens were the side on Sunday Night Football. A lot of sharps had that, and they did not cover again. We always go back to NBA, but it does apply. When you've gone to back-to-back Super Bowls, your season is inevitably longer. It's the reason why LeBron James doesn't cover games in the first 2 months of the year, because his season is always longer. So he's in some sort of mental and physical coast environment for a period of time when other teams are trying harder. And I think you're seeing that with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are really the class of the league. They probably will be in the AFC Championship game fighting to get back to the Super Bowl. So they're in a weird environment here, especially with one extra game in January. The season doesn't end until January 9th. I think that they're kind of in an elongated preseason environment effort-wise. And I think when you look at the Chargers, again, Chargers traveling within the division off a loss at home to Dallas. So I think Dallas is a little bit better than people expected. I think this is a short number for KC. I cross-reference a few points. KC should be laying over a touchdown here, probably more so towards 8.5, 9 based on historical averages. Short number, KC just in a weird environment. I think the auto bounce back is definitely a little bit of a reach as a narrative point.
Yeah, well, in theory, Chargers could bounce back too. They just came off a loss at the house versus the Cowboys. You know what I'm saying? So in theory, it could be a bounce back for them as well. Be interesting to see what happens there. But what you think? You want to talk about one more game, your game, Bears and Browns, or you want to talk a little Marshall versus App State, my guy?
Yeah, let's save the other games for the show on Sunday. We want to drop the officials, not the unofficial official.
Let's do it.
So yeah, drop the college football game if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, just Marshall. They getting 7 points versus App State at the house. here. Obviously, Marshall coming off a tough loss to East Carolina, which you got App State that beat East Carolina in the first game of the season by double digits at that, which they kind of struggled with them at first. But what do you think about this one? You think Marshall bounces back here? The underdog is standalone Thursday night football game. You got the total of 58.5, but I didn't even look at the total, to be honest with you. But I was leaning Marshall plus the points here. I think it's a winnable game. Nice little bounce back spot. What do you think, my guy?
Oh man, I don't know about this one. There's a lot of merge for me on this one. I did want to take Marshall purely off the fact they did not cover and lost outright as a favorite at home to ECU last week. They played a pathetic game. I had Marshall first half -6.5. Anybody that saw that game, it was a really gross backdoor. There were 4 straight plays on 4th down to get a touchdown against in the final play of the half. It was gross. But then the second half got worse. The first half, they were at least up 10 points for, the whole second quarter. Second half, they just completely melted the game. And then you look at why. It's clear they were playing their mind to save energy for a short week game at App State tonight. And, when you look at this, ultimately, it's tough to take either side because this is a revenge game for App State. App State did lose to Marshall last year, and they lost with authority. So we always talk about this. First of all, revenge game, and the line's flipping. App State laying a touchdown after losing by double digits last year. That's showing significant strength to App State. And one final point for App State. If you look at week 1, the same line construction, a lot of Joe Public stuff on App State. They're obviously a ranked team laying like 9.5, 10 to ECU. They covered it cleanly. And again, sometimes you just see this in college football. Teams catch waves. It's a little bit more transparent. I don't disagree with Marshall from the standpoint of buying them off a loss in a look-ahead spot. But again, you have a revenge game for App State, and the line functionality is very similar to week 1 where they did cover. So, I don't know. It's tough.
Exactly. Now I watched that game in week 1, and they were actually they struggled and pulled away late versus East Carolina. I feel like East Carolina really could have won that game. Just from what I'm looking at, I really think App State possibly took a step back from last year's team, my guy. So like I said, it's just a lean for me there. Marshall plus the 7. Only thing I'm playing today, I'm playing the Panthers and Texans under 43. That's my last time trying to get sharp with the under there. It's not a huge bet for me, but that's the only thing that I'm taking today. I might sprinkle a little something. I'm pretty sure my local gonna give me Marshall plus 7.5. They just like to bump them up. I'm pretty sure I'll put a little bit some on just for just value purposes. But I think they'll keep it within a touchdown. If not win a game, I think they'll keep it within a touchdown. So, but regardless, Panthers Texans under 43 for me. A little small play, but I like it. Can't wait for NBA to come back, my guys. Just one of the big plays coming back. I already got a huge one for first day of the season. But and I've been told y'all about that. And if you know me, regardless. But
I got 2. Closing. Night 1, October 19th. We have 2 official plays. I'm not going to drop them just yet, but we have 2. And I've said this so many times. Usually night 1 is terrible. This is actually a good environment on night 1. We're going to have some spots.
I love it. I can't wait. I'm like, bro, you just don't know. You just don't know.
I was looking at it last night. When I look at the NBA season, I think about NBA nights in the fall, crispy cold nights, big slates. I mean, I get chills. That's my environment. I love that. I mean, it's where I grew up. I shared on Twitter. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, please do. Sharks and Sports. I was sharing a video last week. It was a clipped video from NBC Sports in like the 93 or 94 Eastern Conference Finals, Bulls versus Knicks. Marv Albert on the call. It was like it just gave me chills. I mean, really, it gave me chills. Like when I was a kid, I mean, your life gets defined by this stuff. You're inspired. I mean, I get super inspired watching NBA basketball. I love it. And we're going to have just the best season. I mean, we're going to dominate the picks and we're going to crush and we're going to make our wallets fat, but we're also going to bring you guys our passion for the sport. And exactly. I can only talk about NBA with this type of passion. It's the only one that I care about at that level. It really is just something I love, as an entity, as a competitive atmosphere, the way the sport's played, the players. I love it. So it's going to be awesome. Really.
You think you're passionate about it. I should probably be there with them. And that's no pat on the back to myself, but no lie. I should be in the NBA playing with those boys, man. No lie. I can hoop too, man. Mm-hmm. Hey. But regardless, any closing words for tonight, my guy? Let them know why you going against everybody and you like Texans plus 8, my guy. Yeah, half unit play. Thursday Night Football, obviously just a little sprinkle, but we're trying to take the sharp angle. It's the ultimate sandwich spot for Carolina. Carolina just beat a divisional opponent. They beat them with authority. It was a revenge game. It was a huge emotional high. Now they travel in a short week outside of the division
Definitely not a team that had any sort of motivation to beat down from any sort of rivalry standpoint. And they do play Dallas and Philly in the next two. So you look at it, 2-0 ATS off a big win, and you get a big game next weekend. You also look at the functionality. They're 2-0 ATS. Houston is also 2-0 ATS. However, Houston is off of a double-digit loss, albeit a cover. I think you're going to get more of a scrappy effort off of a double-digit loss than you would necessarily with Carolina laying 8 points. Final point last year, Carolina was great on the road ATS with Teddy Bridgewater, but they were an underdog in almost every single game. When teams cover as a dog relentlessly and then they flip to a big favorite, oftentimes the environment shifts and their ATS efficiency shifts. Houston +8, a great Fusini-sanctioned collaboration, half unit, and let's ride that.
Hey, man, I appreciate everybody in the chat. Appreciate my guy Shark coming on with me. My guy, I don't know if y'all can hear him snoring, but he in my lab snoring away. But regardless, Texans +8. I couldn't talk you off there at all, my guy. Like I say, everybody's on the Panthers. So, and especially sometimes I usually just like to go against what everybody thinks is going to be easy. So, but I am going to go with the under 43 tonight. Lean to Marshall +7. I lean the Texans +8 there. If hopefully the Texans can come in and play a good enough game. Hopefully they don't score too many points, but I'm thinking that their defense will be scrappy tonight. We know that the Panthers, they should continue to be playing high level defensively as well. Backup QB regardless. I like the under 43 tonight. Even in the last game, it took a lot in that Packers game. It took a lot for that one to get over, in my opinion. First couple drives, touchdowns, easy touchdowns as well. I don't necessarily think we see that tonight. A lot more running the ball as well, my guys. So I'm going one more under, but I do like it under 43. Like I say, hope my guy cashes with the Texans +8. Heavy lean to Marshall +7 tonight as well in a bounce back game. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in. We love all you guys on Twitter, YouTube, wherever you're watching. We appreciate you. If you're watching the replay, appreciate you as well, my guys. Leave your plays in the chat, comments, all that. I'm gonna try to get back to everybody. That's my guy, Shark and Sports. Going to follow him on Twitter at Shark and Sports. Let me put it up here, man. Sorry, people. What's Scott? So go follow on Twitter at Shark and Sports. Go and follow me as well at Jake Money is Money. Let's cash tonight, man. Let's go 2-0. I got to play on the total. My guy has to play on the underdog. Let's freaking go. Can't wait for NBA. Y'all know what's up. Appreciate everybody. I can't talk you off. We out, my guys. Kill the bookies. It's us against the bookies. We out.